All right, YouTube, this Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit, downtown Detroit on this sunny day. We got to talk about some things. Let's talk about spiritual warfare. A lot of people like to use the term spiritual warfare, but they don't even understand what spiritual warfare is. If you read in the book of Ephesians, it says we fight not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. So when you talk about spiritual warfare, how it's being waged on American people in certain communities, it's being waged through psychological operations, psych ops, through the media, through your politicians, to your pulpit pastors who spread a liberal agenda that makes you go against God and country. That's spiritual warfare. It's only being waged in the tech age. This is why you want these people, they want you to be under a technocracy, technocrats like Elon Musk. They want robots, genetic engineering, processed genetic food. All these things are spiritual warfare. They undermine your belief in God. They undermine your faith in yourself. You don't believe in yourself. You don't think you can live without these politicians. And the preacher with their prosperity teachings, all they want is a tenth. And they kick back from the politicians that they in bed with. This is spiritual warfare. Now, I wrote some things for you. I don't usually read things, but I wrote this specifically for you people to hear. Listen to this. We have to address the attack on the church and the corruption of our young people by the liberal fascists. I said that right, liberal fascists. These liberal fascists have infiltrated our government and our churches. They seek to undermine our faith in God and replace it with faith in bureaucracy and people with titles. Their media and representatives have been bought and paid for. They come before you in a united front to mislead you away from righteousness and replace the very word righteousness with inclusiveness. See, what they call democracy and inclusiveness is transgender rights, being able to transgender your children, late termination of pregnancy to the 8th month, open borders, all these things that go against God, that go against Scripture, that go against the very Bible that you say you believe in. Now, which only means you accept this nefarious evil around you in order to fill in their new world order. So your acceptance is complicit with this nefarious new world order. If you think that being a liberal and allowing your children to be transgender, you think that going against your own country with sedition and traitorous, treasonous rhetoric is of God, then you're sadly mistaken. They corrupt every word and turn definitions upside down. For over the last few years, they have been rewriting the Bible and using preachers as pulpit pimps. Now, you know, they passed a bill that almost totally banned the New Testament because they said that the crucifixion of Christ was anti-Semitism. Yeah, the liberals, they passed that. They want to redirect your spiritual energy in a way that destroys your soul. They use Jesus as a shield. They use the name Jesus as a shield and a hostage because most people have a natural inclination to do the right thing. Most people have a natural inclination toward righteousness. It's just being misdirected and corrupted. And most people lack discernment because they consume the processed information. They will not read or study for themselves. They continue to be easily misled. They are socially engineered to self-destruct and destroy people who look like themselves. If you look at rap music and drill culture, all the music is about destroying people that look like you. And that's promoted over anything righteous. This is spiritual warfare, Armageddon, the battle over the human mind and soul. It is almost like the Matrix, where human beings were batteries that fed the system. Now, when you go with this liberal agenda, you feed the nefarious, you feed the evil, you feed the wickedness, you feed the corruption. Guess what? You even sell them your plasma and your fetuses and stem cells. When have you ever known somebody to go terminate a pregnancy and leave with the remains? Do you think they just discard those stem cells, those fetuses? You equip them with the power to preserve their lives and to clone yours. You give them the genetic material to actually preserve these wicked people's lives and also clone yourself. Where do your blood go? Why do they need all this plasma? We're not at war. But they've turned selling plasma into a hustle. People sell plasma like it's a job. While at the same time, their counterparts, the women, are terminating their pregnancy and leaving those remains and that DNA in their laboratories. You got to wake up and equip yourself with knowledge or you will perish. Now, I wrote that because I want you to think about it. I want you to think about, are we really battling conservative against liberal? Or are we battling against wickedness, Satanism, and righteousness? You have to decide, you have to pick a side. No longer can you stand on the sideline. You people want to act as if Trump started all this, created all this madness. As if you just didn't live through 4 years of the Biden administration. As if you don't know what's to come if you don't use your vote and your mind wisely. Some of you, y'all going to church tomorrow. Your pastors are in bed with these politicians. That's why he won't preach against termination of pregnancy and teach against that liberal agenda. Because the church has been co-opted and corrupted by these politicians. Now, we can sit up and debate over ideological differences, but I'm quite sure most of you know right from wrong. And you got to think about it. That's why I said this is spiritual warfare. But spiritual warfare comes in the form of ideological subversion, psychological operations called psyops that undermine your very ability to think. They have some of you out there thinking that a man can actually be a woman, that a man can actually have a baby, that a man should be called a woman and a real woman, a cis woman. They tell you things like toxic masculinity while they feminize a whole generation of your young men. And you sit by and you act as if you don't see it or you don't want to deal with it. But in these days and times, there's nowhere you can run and nowhere you can hide for what's to come. Because you're living in the days of Armageddon. And you have to wake up. And think about these things I said. If you disagree, tell me in the comments if you disagree. But I think most of you that have maintained and kept your sanity, you know that I'm telling the truth. And this is Detroit's HPTV, signing to you out of Detroit. As always, salute to all patriots and keep your head on the swivel. Peace.